Welcome to another edition of Your Impact Attack. That's right, it is Your Impact Attack, and we are coming to you live here on a Monday, February 3rd, 2025. We are very excited to bring you coverage of TNA Wrestling's Impact from January 30th. And who are we? We are the VBC collectively, and that would be the vet. Hello, I'm JB Williams. Nice to see you all. With me, as always, my tag team partner, the B, Brandon, coming in with the hot tag. Here it is, and gonna clean house, or is he gonna turn around and punch me in the face? Who knows? Brandon, what's up, buddy?
Well, I mean, you are wait, no, yeah, well, you are a bald white guy with a beard, so who knows?
That's right. I'm not Canadian, but you know, still, I do my best. Uh, and of course, the people that would be shocked to see this are the C. That's the chat. That's the lovely audience that joins us live on YouTube, Twitch, sometimes X. They join us on Channel Attitude after the fact. I mean, we wouldn't have a show without them, and they're filing in slowly to, perhaps a new venue for a temporary 1 week visit here, back to an old ridiculous channel, maybe a random channel, who knows. But who do we have joining us so far tonight?
Let's see who we got in the house. We got Javi Uchiha. We got Gan Wolvers bringing the yeet. We got Sonic the Hedge Rat. Good to see you guys. Whoop whoop.
All right. That is a three-way dance that I would love to be a part of. But, yes, very, very busy weekend in pro wrestling for a lot of reasons. And, here's a quick Chris Winland. Yes, boy. And he's like, he asked his question at the last second. So we'll get to it pretty soon as Liz joins also. Thank you guys very much. Chris says, if you have time, can you maybe just name a couple legends and a couple current superstars who you would have liked to have worked with in the ring or under their wing? Yeah, I guess we could name a couple. Let's see. I'll throw it to you too, Brandon, while I think too. Whoever could come up with a superstar we'd like to, who would we have liked to work with? Just right off the top of my head, I could say like Walter. Seems like he has the kind of matches that I like, where they're specifically methodical, paced, and seem very hard hitting. And yet he doesn't do anything that's like dangerous. It just looks like you're going to be in there and you're going to be fighting pretty hard, kind of like Sheamus does. Those kind of matches are actually fun to me. You feel you get a sick. It's sick. I admit it's kind of sick, but you get this sense of being alive. When you're hitting a guy, and getting hit, and it's like the controlled environment of a pro wrestling match. Where it's like the sense of danger isn't there, or like a survival instinct like it is in a real fight, but there's something like the adrenaline and I don't know, there's just something weird about it. It's something that only pro wrestlers can kind of understand. I can't say this is like a normal feeling for humans that can relate to it, but there's just something about like, that feeling when you're in there doing that kind of stuff. So like those kind of guys, like I think would be fun to have, have matches with in that sense. But in terms of like, who I like to work with and be under their wing, I don't know, man. I see a lot more people. I wish that like, I was the wing, like that's every time I come on here and have to critique somebody. It's like I just want to be, if only I could give him this pointer or that pointer, but the wrestling business is very much a who did you ever beat business. So, nobody would listen to me, but but yeah, like you know, even just the obvious choice of Moose, like I wish I could get to work with Moose on a daily basis and just really just sand off any of those little tiny rough edges or whatever where there may be. He's very polished as it is, but like I think I could get it even shinier. All right, well maybe I should get away from that sort of analogy. Brandon, what do you think? Anybody that you've seen over the years that you would have liked to got a chance to work with or currently?
See, as far as legends go, I could say worked in the ring and under their wing because, in a way, working in the ring with them is also kind of under their wing because you're learning, trial by fire, like on the job experience.
Yep.
I'd just say Bret Hart and Jeff Jarrett.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, I think those are two good choices. I mean, Jeff Jarrett has that experience in so many different aspects of, you know, wrestling from the bottom to the top.
Yeah, he's kind of like the ultimate jack of all trades when it comes to like every aspect of the business.
Mm-hmm. And perhaps a master of none when it comes to the business too. You know, through no fault of his own, perhaps. Just
Circumstances. That's just the way. That's just the situation he found himself in.
Yeah. 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 Jeff is an interesting case because it's kind of, and I actually talked about Jeff quite a bit on the wreckage this past Sunday, I think, because, or if it wasn't, I don't know. Did I get confused sometimes. You know, these days, the things I say on my own Twitch streams, in personal conversations, and on Hami Media Group shows, like I forget what I say to who sometimes, but kind of going over the history of Jeff Jarrett and thinking of like, I know I said that his promos when he's face to face with MJF, you know, you see MJF has this way of like he's made his name off of like cutting people down, you know, in a working way, you know, with his working promos, using real life stuff against them at times. And when Jeff was like on the receiving end of that and it was his turn to volley back, it was kind of just the same old Jeff Jarrett. You know, like he did not take all that what we're talking about, all those like decades of experience and turn that into something for 2025. It's just the same old, you know, Tennessee wrestling Jeff Jarrett promo, every same cadence, same delivery, same everything. I'm not being believable. I'm just doing what I've always done. Like that, like he's kind of stuck in that. And I think maybe, you know, looking back on everything, that's kind of what's kept him in people's minds, like in the fans' minds, is sort of like in a the mediocre state of like, you know, when we talk about wrestling legends in the business, it's like not quite as glorified as some of the people, because he's just kind of had like a middle of the road, you know, a approach to everything, you know. Not to turn this into like a let's bury Jeff Jarrett thing, but it's how I see it. Whereas, you know, on the other hand, then you got Bret Hart, and then, you know, the Hart family, like all that history that comes with that, and his focus on wrestling. It's like what he always wanted to do was just kind of be the best at what he was doing. His job was to be a pro wrestler, and he wanted to be the best at that. He didn't want to get involved in the politics side of it, the promotion side of it, you know, those kind of things. You know, so as far as like the art form and him being proud of his mastery of the craft that never hurt anybody that he was in the ring with, you know, there's something to be said for that too.
Yeah, I don't think there's anybody better than Bret who made it look real without hurting the guy he was in the ring with.
Yep. So anyway, Yes, Colin asking a weird question at a weird time. I'm gonna just say I've already, yeah, whatever. I'm not gonna put that over.
Get
All
me
right,
crabs, pal.
yeah.
I'm feeling itchy.
Well, that's a good transition because we have got some wrestling news this week. Uh, and yeah, it's other than this. I mean, what we had a Royal Rumble this weekend. Whatever. Interesting choice on who wins the Rumble. Um, Actually, both Rumbles are kind of an interesting choice for different reasons. Did you want to comment on any of the Royal Rumble happenings this weekend or any other wrestling stuff before we get into probably what's going to be the bulk of our news section?
I mean, I thought it was an all right event. I mean, didn't really blow anything out of the water. I mean, Jay winning was kind of a surprise. I didn't see that coming. Especially, with him eliminating John Cena, which I'm sure was probably John Cena's way of putting him over. Or they'll probably have a match down the line. I could see that happening.
Yeah. Was that like I mean, when you see something like that, did that get your sort of creative wheels turning of like, okay, well now Jay won, so what are we gonna do? Is that how you kind of look at it, or
Yeah, I have an idea in mind. The problem is how do we get there before WrestleMania to make it happen? Somehow, I'd have Roman beat Cody and turn heel and become like the OG OTC. Like we never saw him show remorse. We never saw him apologize. He's kind of sort of went along to get what he wanted out of people. To get his, get the Usos back, to get Sammy back. So then we could.
Okay, go ahead.
So then Jay would wait a minute. He'd wait till after the results of Elimination Chamber to make his decision. He sees what Roman does to Cody, and all of a sudden he has that trauma of like the very early stages of the bloodline, everything that Roman put him through. He has those PTSD flashbacks, and he wants his revenge. Also for his friend Cody.
For his good friend Cody. Is it possible? Can you make Roman Reigns? I mean, in my.
All right, never mind. Scrap that.
Well, look, it's fantasy booking anyway. We could do what we want. But Liz was saying Roman's out with an injury for an unspecified period of time. Never mind that, though. Because they're not going to do that. And probably part of the reason that they're not going to do that is, my question is there such a thing as a heel Roman Reigns? Because he's never not been a heel since whatever the turn was that he became the tribal chief. Like, since then, he's been more or less a perfect heel, and the people have only loved him more. I don't think there's a way that you could try to traditionally turn. Like, you can't turn. There's no turn now. It's like you're just firmly planted. There's nowhere to turn. It's just, this is the character now, and you can't make people change because people are looking at the overall spectacle of this guy. The ridiculously long entrance, Paul Heyman fawning over him, like all this stuff. People are just enjoying this. They've never cared once that the entire time Roman Reigns, every one of those title defenses, he cheated to keep it. Like he played a chicken shit heel despite the air of like a god on earth, but he still used outside interference and cheating and everything to win all those matches. Whether it was Edge and Bryan Danielson all the way up until, the first Cody title defense or whatever. Like, he's never done anything that wasn't heelish, and people just, they don't care. They just love it. So I don't think you could do it anyway, even if you wanted to. What would you even do to... The only way you could turn Roman Reigns heel is to get rid of all that stuff and make him the babyface he was back in 2016 or whatever, where he was saying suffer and succotash. That's how you turn him heel, is turn him back into a baby face. So, yeah. I don't know if it could be done, but apparently we don't have to worry about it. So yeah, so and then Charlotte's just another, like, I don't know what else you do besides Charlotte, but I don't know. I still haven't even watched the Women's Rumble, so I don't know how the people in the building, how receptive they were to it. I don't know how the people are going to be now. I think when I scrolled my timeline, I already saw people complaining about Charlotte. I believe I saw the phrase nails on a chalkboard once on my timeline. I don't know. So I don't know.
She never
but
knew when to quit.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know, but save bit. Also, piece of news: third divorce for Charlotte incoming.
Yeah, that's I'm pretty sure it wasn't already. I think from what I read, it was finalized. Hold on, yeah, it was TMZ who had the court documents that was filed back in June and was finalized in October.
Yeah. And by the way, when I did the parts of the Rumble I did watch, when Andrade came in the ring, his stats at the Rumble on the Chiron said 5'9". Surely that was a typo, right? That was for somebody else, right? Was that supposed to be for Penta's entrance? Like, what is on what planet is this guy been 5'9" this whole time? Am I that blind that I didn't notice that this guy is 5'9"? I thought he was at least 6 feet tall, 6'1" or something like that. He looks tall. So is that a mistake, or what do you guys think?
Now I think we went to the same planet where Cody Rhodes was the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions.
Oh, did they do that too? Have they been messing up?
Oh, you didn't see that?
I didn't know.
Oh yeah, I forgot what event it was, but yeah, like when Cody Rhodes was in the ring, for his entrance, and the graphic popped up, and it just said WWE Women's Tag Team Champions.
Wow. Yeah. I don't know, man. All right. Well, Liz says that Wikipedia says 5'9", but what if somebody just changed it on Wikipedia to that after the Rumble? I don't know. Well, anyway, some further investigation and possibly tape measuring is needed here, but anyway, yeah. Well,
he's got lifts in his boots.
Yeah, that's probably why she divorced him. So anyway, yeah. Charlotte ain't no 5'10". All right. Enough of this. Enough of these lies, blatant lies. So, let's talk about blatant lies here for a second. Apparently, a certain legally filed complaint was amended to include much more damning evidence against the defendant. So I heard about this and I saw little bits of this, but as I have been vocally chastising people for being headline readers and not understanding contents of such things or whatever, I must fully disclose that I have not had a chance to peruse this updated document or anything. So all of my knowledge is based on the original complaint. I don't know what is contained within the new complaint. I've only heard the rumors or people's comments, people's cryptic social media comments or things like that. So I am not sure about what is contained within, but it sounds like it ain't good for old Vinnie Mac. and I will let Brandon sort of take the reins on this. Whatever pertinent information that you'd like to discuss, and we could talk about it.
Yeah, I have not read the actual amended complaint yet because that just seems very disgusting to me. I'll let the reporters get the important stuff out there, or at least some of the details. All right, so this is a report from CBS Sports. Former UFC and current WWE superstar Brock Lesnar has been officially named in Janelle Grant's lawsuit against Vince McMahon, John Laurinaitis, and WWE. Lesnar's name was mentioned in Grant's amended lawsuit filed on the January 31st deadline for amendments to the suit. Many had assumed Lesnar was the individual referred to as a former UFC heavyweight champion and WWE superstar in the initial version of the lawsuit. Grant's suit alleges that she was a victim of sex trafficking at the hands of McMahon and that he used WWE company resources to traffic her to other men, in part as a pawn to secure talent deals. The suit further alleges that Lesnar was one of those other men and that McMahon demanded that Grant create personalized sexual content for Lesnar. Lesnar also allegedly was flown to Connecticut by McMahon for an arranged sexual encounter with Grant, though the two did not actually meet as planned. WWE Hall of Famer and longtime producer Michael Hayes was also named in the amended lawsuit. Grant alleges that McMahon also demanded she make personalized sexual content for Hayes, which was also intended to be shared with members of Hayes' crew. Both Lesnar and Hayes were not named as defendants in the lawsuit. Lawyers for the defense have argued for the case to be settled under arbitration, as outlined in the non-disclosure agreement signed by Grant in January 2022. Grant's legal team has argued the NDA to be waived as McMahon broke the agreement by failing to make their payments outlined in the agreement. So, yeah. And
So
there's
apparently,
there's another report I read that talked about a personalized office that was constructed for Janelle Grant, which had access for John Laurinaitis to go in there whenever he wanted to. And that office happened to share a wall with the office of one Paul Levesque. And the people who were also involved of the construction of this office and who had knowledge and were kind of facilitators of it were also named Brad Bloom and Nick Khan.
yes. Well. So apparently some of this was the main difference is the naming of names as far as these things go. Some of this was covered in the original complaint, and like I said, assumed to be Brock Lesnar because there were only a couple of people that could have possibly fit the description in the complaint as a former UFC and WWE champion. So if it wasn't Ronda Rousey, then the only other person that it could have been...
Ken Shamrock?
Ken Shamrock was never the WWF champion, pal.
Well,
famously, he wasn't.
He was a champion, though.
Yes, exactly. So, yeah. Yeah, the thing about arranging Brock Lesnar for meetings and using her to secure talent, things like that stuff was outlined, but just no names were mentioned originally. But now I guess for whatever reason it's probably, they decided, okay, well, we should do this then. And this makes it definitely makes it interesting in regards to the people that were still currently employed, because some of the people may not have, like, I forget who the other, but they might have not been with the company any longer. There was like 4 main people that were named, but not named.
I know Bloom was one of them. He's no longer with the company.
Yeah. But like Michael Hayes, for example, This ain't good.
Yeah, that's. I'm surprised he hasn't got sacked yet.
Yeah. Especially considering everybody, like Michael Hayes been a company liability for a long, long time. Um, it's just that no one cares about him. So, like, there was never any reason for anybody to want to, I guess, remove him from the company. But but yeah. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't really have anything to add because I mean I made my position clear on the whole thing, and this doesn't really change anything. It only reinforces things I've already said. So, or it sounds like that's the case.
Yeah, and thank you, Liz, for bringing that up. That's another part I missed. Thank you. The four officials are also named in this as well. Number 1, Nick Khan. Number 2, Brad Bloom. Number 3, Stephanie McMahon. Number 4, Brian Nurse. Which is why I was like, why are you opening up the Royal Rumble with Stephanie McMahon the day after this drops?
Mm, because well, I don't think there was anything unfavorable said about Stephanie in the complaints. In the original, it wasn't. It was just her description of the individual that would be Stephanie McMahon. Uh, there was there was no allegations of anything there. It was just that's who it was. So it's not like she was implicated in something like Brock Lesnar was. I mean, Brock Lesnar was implicated in as far as the original complaint. Again, I have to say my knowledge only extends to what was written in the original complaint. I don't know of any of the updated information, but in the original complaint, it was alleged that unnamed WWE superstar was uh he was like Vince McMahon was, you know, basically saying to this guy, hey, I got this chick that'll do anything. And so that Brock Lesnar told her to send him a video of herself urinating, like now that could be because that's what Brock Lesnar's into, or it could just be because he tried to think of something that somebody would not want to do to prove that she would do anything that she was told to do. So
Yeah,
whether that's a fetish of his or just something he thought up to be like, well, this would be crazy if somebody did that. I don't know. Maybe both, but that's what she alleged, happened, and that yes, there was supposed to be an arranged meeting, and that he didn't end up making it for whatever reason. That stuff was all outlined in the original thing. So now when that gets out there, his name is not on it, yet the company pulls Brock Lesnar from everything that's upcoming and including the video game 2K24,
including the
like
planned match with Gunther.
yeah, promotional materials, they're just like they reacted to this as if he was named, but he wasn't named. So therefore, you're tipping your hand as far as like
You knew.
admission of guilt. Like why would you? The only way that you would want to do this is because you have insider knowledge. So by doing it, you are implicating Brock Lesnar, because everybody else that doesn't read this is just going to be like, hey, where'd Brock Lesnar go? They won't even understand what's happening. And furthermore, if this is all like a concerted effort with cooperation, like if there are people inside the company that are cooperating to make, to make the lawsuit, go forward with evidence, that could have been part of the reason. So like for example, in the conspiracy theory that I have, that Triple H is orchestrating a lot of this as far as like getting people removed and cooperating as far as like, you know, my fun theory is that he's the one that, you know, he, maybe Stephanie and others were the ones that encouraged Janelle to move forward with the lawsuit, as far as like, we can give you this information, we can help you in these ways, we can give you these names, we can bury these people for you, because we need Vince out of here. That's my fun theory. Don't take it as anything but a fun theory for entertainment purposes only. But if that is the case, partially of like making decisions, including with, you know, cooperating with Nick Khan, to be like, all right, let's, if we do this, if we pull Brock Lesnar from this, that makes him look guilty, which he is. So like, if they knew that he was, if they knew that this stuff happened, if they could prove that this,
it gives them leverage.
That's right.
To keep pushing further. Right, get rid of this guy, get rid of that guy.
But hey, that's just a theory, a wrestling theory.
Allegedly.
Yeah, we're just having fun here talking. But anyway, yeah. So now, fast forward to a couple days ago, whatever. Now it's like, oh yeah, it was Brock Lesnar. So here that is on top of everything, and then we got other people, right? So yeah. And then as far as I guess there was a response from the McMahon defense team or whatever, which was just the usual. I heard it read out. I didn't see it, but I heard it read out, something, you know, just something to the effect of like, oh, the same old bullshit, baseless, desperate allegation, you know. That's just, yeah, okay. I swear Vince writes his own legal statements. It sounds like stuff he would write, not necessarily a lawyer.
I could see a lawyer handing him something. Here, say this. He puts it to the shred of Mac and like, no, say this, pal.
It just rips it up. Yeah, it's funny. I mean, it's not funny, but it is funny. So yeah, there's that. That's, yeah. All right. I'm anything to just any nails that there's a lot of space on a coffin for nails. Let's put it that way. And I say use every square inch of that coffin. If you could put another nail in it, do it. That's my personal feelings on it.
I got a feeling this coffin is going to have every inch nailed down and welded shut.
Yep.
It's a metal coffin.
Yes. And then, you know, drop it in a volcano, just to be sure.
That might empower him.
Yeah, maybe you don't want to do that. All right, well, whatever you do, that's it. So do we have anything else we want to talk about that, or got anything else in general we want to talk about?
I think that the news of Jordan Grace officially signing with WWE and Joe Hendry appearing in the Royal Rumble was kind of cool. Get one of the biggest reactions of the night.
Yeah, he did.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, the text message support and also too the what was it during the McMahon documentary? Like you can see footage of McMahon looking at a phone. He's looking at some of that explicit footage that she created while the camera is rolling on him, and it actually makes it to the documentary. Like she shows like a specific screenshot or a specific screenshot, and he says at this moment he's looking at some of that explicit content. Which fits right up there with Vince's MO. Like, yeah, I'll watch this shit while a camera's on me because I'm Vince fucking McMahon.
Yep. To steal a quote from a catchphrase from a former TNA employee. Yep. So, who also had a match at the Royal Rumble for some strange reason. Yeah.
Oh, and the official belt count for the Royal Rumble was 14.
14, that's a lot of belts. You could hold up a lot of pants with 14 belts. Well, 14 pairs anyway.
Yeah, I think we had like 2 from NXT and then 1 from TNA.
Yeah, Joe Hendry came and he came out, he has the belt and he's like, all right, now I have this, I gotta bring it. So he like, yeah, you see that that's sort of like, like, well, I can't just not have this. I gotta wear it, but what do I do with it? So like he runs down and like right before he gets in the ring, he like leaves it on the floor, like right kind of like just outside of where like the mats by the stairs or whatever.
Well, Fear, I'm pretty sure he probably might have been thinking, and this is a refs reminding me thinking, all right, those refs are gonna be smart enough to pick it up and get out of the way.
Yeah, sure. It's just when you see it on camera, it's just kind of like it's just funny, like it just I'll just leave my prestigious belt on the floor. The way they could have shot around it, but then they can't because like they're trying to keep it on him during the entrance. The other option is just slide in with the belt and start laying people out. Why not? There's no rules.
Yeah, why
Instead
not?
of hitting everybody with instead of feed for clotheslines, everybody feed for belt shot. That'd be good. And then he could have done the thing where everybody's dead weight because they're unconscious and he can't eliminate anyone. He's like trying to pick up their. Yeah,
makes sense.
Makes sense. That'd be a good spot for a comedy heel, though. He's not supposed to. Well, I mean, he is supposed to be a comedy heel. It's just much like the Roman Reigns thing. People just refuse to not like it. So it's kind of funny how stuff goes on for so long and you forget how it originated. It's like when I see people now on social media like man, I'm really digging the New Day as heels, and I'm just like,
they were originally heels because they were I'm sorry, they were baby faces that were so annoying that people booed them. So they leaned into it and got even more obnoxious and got them over as faces. That's exactly how the New Day got over.
The New Day used to be doing stuff a lot like this, except they still had the cereal and the trombones and everything else. Like that was part of the appeal, is the contrast, the fact that they acted ridiculous and then were like vicious heels, cheated all the time. They were like, they're like an extra wacky Freebirds, and people just got so entertained by it, whatever. But like, it makes people, it distorts people's entire memory of reality. It's like they have a Mandela effect that the that the New Day were baby faces and just got stale. But no, that's not how it was at all. But let's go ahead and talk about TNA for a change, because they had an episode of television recently. Now, I don't think this was live like it was the previous week, so we'll see if they can keep any of that same live energy for their TV tapings. And we're going to start with the traditional and all important and all encompassing ketchup packet. There we go. We're going to start with Dolph Ziggler in the ring like he promised last week. He's had a lot to think about and he needed some time. So now he's here. I guess he's had enough time. He's going to start telling us But before he could get too deep into it, my brother, Ryan Ziegler, comes out and he is, basically in an annoying, heelish, cartoonish, almost impossibly cartoonish way. He is sticking up for Dolph and making excuses for him. And then AJ Francis comes out with KC, and he starts running down the Zigglers, and of course Ryan's not going to have anybody talking that way about his brother, so he ends up challenging them to a match, and then Santino comes out and makes the match official. So now we have our main event for tonight. The Classic didn't have a main event before we got here, and now we do. What do you think about that?
Outside of that logic, this wasn't too bad, other than like Ryan's being so over the top. I'm waiting for him to stab Nick in the back.
Yeah, who could see that coming? Like, just that would be the swerve of the century if that were to happen. I'm in a I'm conflicted because I hate this whole my brother thing. So that means what? It's working? Like if I am sitting at home saying I hate this, is he doing his job as a heel? What kind of heat is this?
It depends. Are you feeling this as in, I hate this, I want this off my TV, or as in, I hate this, I want somebody to beat this guy's ass?
The first one.
Yeah, that's the bad heat. That's the bad heat.
However, how else are you supposed to get heat with a guy like me? I've been discussing the ideas of, like, and we talked about with Roman, or the New Day, or Joe Hendry. What is heat in 2025? You can't get it the traditional way. So what some people have done now, okay, people have gone a different route with it. So for example, on AEW, you have Ricochet, you also have Max Caster. Both of these guys have taken to, like, well, they've both used, I think, the Chris Van Vliet show as a way to, like, plant a seed for a heel persona, because they go on there saying things that they knew would get them heat with the real life, community of wrestling fans that listen to Chris Van Vliet, or that are internet fans or whatever, the people that make up the IWC. They say things like putting themselves over, like Ricochet saying there wouldn't be an AEW without me. Obviously, Ricochet, the real guy, would never say some shit like that. But the fact that he said it on the Chris Van Vliet show made people think that, what is wrong with this guy? And then that transitions into people booing him on Dynamite and Collision and so forth, and throwing toilet paper at him and whatever. So same thing with Max Caster, talking about, he's the best wrestler alive and all this other stuff, and saying how he doesn't think that, whatever he said about he basically he's basically saying, like, another version of what Hangman Page says, like, I don't need veterans coming in here and telling me how to do things. Like, I'm already better than them. So people are like, oh my God, did you hear what Max Caster said? What an asshole. And yet, months down the line, we're seeing where he was going, of transitioning to a heel persona. So, like, guys are smartly figuring out ways to try to be a heel in 2025, but I don't think they're getting the credit for it. Instead, people think people are buying it, which is exactly the entire mission statement of the wrestling business. You're supposed to trick these people into paying money, to hate you and see you beaten up or whatever. So they're trying to get people to react the way they want. When people try to react in traditional heel ways, they get cheered now. So, because they're usually entertaining. Okay, now back to Ryan Ziegler. He is trying to be a heel to the point that no normal human being would ever act like this. So it's extremely cartoonish and exaggerated. And I hate that part of it. But is that just another way to try to get heat in 2025 that there's no way anybody could possibly find this entertaining? Or am I giving him too much credit and he's just trying, like he thinks this is good what he's doing? Like I'm not sure. I can't be sure. You know? Um yeah, I just don't know. So
I don't either. Unless they're going the opposite direction and they're building a story where Ryan's over the top with it, you think he's gonna stab him in the back like he keeps screwing up, costing Dolph things, and then all of a sudden, like you get to a point where the stakes are the highest, and it looks like Dolph's gonna be, or not Dolph, it's Nick. Sorry, easy to get those two mixed up.
what? Mixed up. Who's this Nick guy?
Something ends up happening where it looks like Nick's gonna take something that would just absolutely obliterate him. Ryan eats the bullet.
And then what? You just have a baby face that you really hate? I mean, I don't know. You know, like where does any of it go, really?
That's one of those things that take more like, okay, this is kind of the idea I have. Let's sit down and figure out how we get there and make it make sense.
That is quite the task. Ariana Grace is with Gia and no music underneath. She's still, of course, the liaison between NXT and TNA, and then you have a chance for her to meet Tessa Blanchard here. As Tessa walks in, and this was I like she accuses Ariana Grace of only getting anything she's gotten in the wrestling business because of her dad, which is good, a nice touch. And then she lets us know that Tessa lets us know that she answers to no one. So again, back to our old question: did she sign a contract or not? I don't. Did she work here? She answers to no one. Does she work here? I don't know.
Make no sense.
No sense makes no dollars. Speaking of NXT, earlier, I guess in the day, we saw Cora Jade walking down the purplest hallway I've ever seen in my life, and finding Xia Brookside in that hallway and getting into a shoving match with Xia Brookside in that purple hallway. Just a light shove brings a fleet of security guards to separate them, like instantly.
Yeah, these obviously choreographed things. You got to plan these better. Like, let them get at least a minute of brawling in before, you send in the security. Like, you could see somebody being like, just like a bystander. They see go into it and then start calling for security. Fight goes on, then they show up.
Yep. Or don't, because we have enough of that in wrestling. You could just have her say a bitchy comment and keep walking. Could. I mean, be nice. It's insane how much of wrestling is people getting pulled apart by security. But maybe it's not as obvious if you only watch like one thing. Like if you only watch Raw every week, I'm sure you would see it enough that it would be noticeable. But maybe not. But if you watch Raw, SmackDown, NXT, TNA, AEW Dynamite, AEW Collision, TNA, whatever, you'll be like, God damn, people just, there's definitely more brawling time than match time. So But anyway, that was earlier. Now it's now. And it's Cora Jade versus Hyann. So I know what everybody's thinking.
Who?
Who? Yes. Uh, I've seen Hyann a time or two, but I think the main thing to point out here is that not necessarily a known contracted TNA talent. So when you have NXT come in as a guest wrestler, uh, and you're not even going to have them beat one of your people, you should bring somebody else in for them to beat. You know, so there you go, and that's exactly what happens here after a very indie, 5 minutes or so. She hits her DDT, which is called Jaded, because every finisher has to be a pun on somebody's name. And then she tries to get some more offense in. And then Zaya Brookside comes out with her music, because we paid Simple Plan for this song, so we're going to use it. And so Zaya runs off Cora Jade, or so we think, because she sort of flanks Zaya, gets back in and drops her too. And then we hit Masha Slamovich's music, and then she runs her off for real. So now, we've got look, Masha and Cora, what's going to happen? Is Cora going to be the TNA Women's Champion? Ooh.
Yeah, I think we'll definitely see some belts going across brands. Question is, which one will it be, and which brand is it going to go? Where's it going to flip flop to?
Yes, it is. Do you like the idea of Masha just running out as the champion and getting herself involved in this low-level business?
I mean, not really. This is kind of beneath her. Like, she has nothing to do with this. She has no heat with Cora other than Cora. Like, she should be like kind of like think nothing of Cora. Like, Cora needs to do something more to get Masha wanting to beat. Like, she hasn't really done anything to get any heat on Masha. Why would she come down there?
I would say she wouldn't. But, you could look at it as the champion defending the company from outsiders, but
they haven't built that story. No promo to explain that.
Nope. Couldn't do it. You just have to you would just have to infer that based on what you see. So, like I just did, as an excuse. Not that I agree with it, but just trying to, like you said, make sense of it. But Cora's not the only person that's visiting, because we have Wes Lee and In the Mud with Gia and no music underneath. She's like, "Why'd you interfere in that match last week?" And Wesley explains that, these two people that he's taken under his wing, Tyreek and Tyson, or I think are the first names. And he says that he has an obligation to make sure they become the NXT Tag Team Champions. And in turn, they are going to help him become the NXT champion. Like he has always deserved. So they got a deal. They got a little belt deal going on in NXT. First I'm hearing of it, but all I do is watch NXT and TNA and review it every week, so I'm glad to find it out somewhere.
Maybe it's a social media exclusive.
Maybe he should be the digital media champion. Now we talk about comically bad presentation as far as like Ryan Ziegler's concerned, but here comes, not to be outdone, here comes the Elegance trio, and they're gonna, get in Santino's face and make a bunch of complaints. They're not legally filed; they're just verbally said, and they're basically saying that they should be the, tag team champions, probably because they didn't even pin the right person in the match and all this other stuff and yada yada yada. And Spitfire literally bounds into the scene like they come into the scene like they were shoved from off camera into the into this whole thing. It's just this fucking sucks. Everything about this sucked. Is there anything good about this?
Nah, it was terrible.
All right. I'm just making sure. I'm just making sure I'm not being an asshole again. Um, it didn't take long for the Ash by Elegance thing. She starts doing it. She's got her gimmick. And then we're like, okay, let's see where this goes. Well, we're seeing where it goes, and I'm not liking it anymore. I don't know I ever liked it. I think I was just more patiently waiting for development, and the development is they added a much less talented third wheel to the thing. And now everybody is, even playing it up even worse. And then after that, I don't know who to blame for that cardboard fiasco from a couple weeks ago or whatever it was. But that definitely, I don't know, that definitely may have killed them forever for me, as far as like, even if it wasn't their idea, they still ended up having to participate in it. And if they fought against doing it, they didn't fight hard enough because it made it to an actual television broadcast. So I don't find myself entertained by anything they do. And, Spitfire's no better. I can't find anything to like. I'm sorry. I am sorry.
Well, be sorrier.
Yeah, I think I will be watching anything further. If I have to watch another match with these teams, I think I will be sorrier. But the whole system is out, and they're here to see Brian Myers versus Leon Slater. Well, I'll ask you. What did you think of this here? This little match and this whole thing. I'll ask you first.
I mean, it was alright.
I mean, Moose was there.
We got to see Moose.
Yeah. It's one of only a couple of times. So he was out there. Well, here's the thing. In the match, it's a somewhat even contest between Myers and Slater. But toward the end of it, Leon Slater's end up taking on everyone in the system, basically, because they're all trying to cheat and he's fighting all of them off. And the referee's like looking at it. He doesn't seem to care. He's like, yeah, it's fine. Like there's a spot where like he's, like, I don't remember. I guess, I don't remember if it was Moose or no, it was like JDC, like just getting up on the apron and Leon Slater knocking him off the apron. And I'm watching the referee's face and he's just like, not even verbally admonishing the JDC for getting up on the apron. Just, yep, this is the spot. So I'll watch it. I'm sorry. Like, as a referee, aren't you embarrassed for these fuckers? Like, out here, they're getting paid,
Yeah, your job is to do your part to make the thing look real.
Yeah, you can't even raise an eyebrow at somebody jumping on the apron?
Yeah, like I remember anytime I saw anybody get on the apron, I would jump, I'd be on them, but if I knew there's supposed to be a bump spot, I would be a little bit off to the side, so when they were coming, I could easily move out of the way.
Yeah, man, the least you could do when somebody does the jump up is say, hey, get down. I'll just stand there with your hands in your pockets. Like, what a dork. I just, fuck all you people, man. So anyway, now this is all just to distract from Lish going around and putting one of the championship rings on Brian Myers' finger. So she puts the ring on his finger, and then when Leon goes, when Leon beats up the whole system by himself, and the referee doesn't even bother to eject them because he watched them all interfere and he watched Leon Slater fight them all, and he didn't even go to like, hey, you guys need to get away from ringside. Nothing. Never mind that. Myers hits the punch with the ring, and that's, classic Brian Myers. That's not enough. It can't be, oh, I have the ring, I'm going to hit you with the sucker punch with the ring and knock you out and pin you, and like, maybe I'll just roll you up unnecessarily and hook your tights even though you're unconscious and do all this other stuff and just be a real dick. Like, we're not going to do that. We're just gonna have you feet around so I can hit my shitty clothesline finisher on you too, because I got to get my shit in, because I'm the most professional wrestler, Brian Myers. So I got to have my, I gotta have my clothesline move with my flabby arms, and I got to get that shit over.
Which shits on the whole ring shot. Obviously, you didn't need that. Didn't mean anything? So all it was a setup for the clothesline.
Yeah. When I was watching, and I if I was in worse of a mood, I was kind of in a decent mood when I was watching TNA. It didn't help my mood. It brought it down somewhat, but I was more, better and somewhat a little more focused on it than I have been lately. And as I was watching the match and watching Brian Myers, I considered taking detailed notes on the match to explain why Brian Myers is the fucking shits. And I decided not to because life's too short. But I do want all of you to know, in case there was any doubt, that Brian Myers is the shits in every way that you could be the shits as a wrestler. And this finish is just like, it may not sound like much, but to me, it's like a tip-off of like the kind of the mindset that somebody like this has. Whether it's an agent giving him this finish and him not saying, well, why don't I just hit him with the ring and pin him there? If he didn't say that, he's an asshole. If it was his idea, he's an asshole. If somebody else had a different idea and he suggested this, he's an asshole. Like, he's basically just an asshole. So, sorry if I'm a little bitter about this guy being an asshole.
Gotta call it like you see it.
Yeah, I have to. I gotta be me. Sammy Callahan, on the other hand, another one of my favorites. Maybe a little bit less of an asshole than Brian Myers. He's just bad. I don't know if he knows better. His gimmick is definitely not to be a professional. Like, that's not in his gimmick anywhere. He's just a man that's becoming increasingly more spherical. Do you remember, just off the, top of my head, do you remember those toys from the 80s, 90s, Mad Balls? Remember those?
Not ringing a bell, sorry.
Well, you see, there would be this ball, like this base, like a softball sized spongy ball, and this was in the mid 80s. So like in the mid 80s, toy manufacturers were really marketing gross to kids. We had Garbage Pail Kids, we had slime, like everything had to have slime in it. Ghostbusters had ectoplasm. The He-Man, He-Man had the slime pit. All that stuff. Yeah, there was no Mad Balls movie, but it was definitely, there was some cartoon specials and stuff made. No, they're not. Not in gumball machines. These were, like I said, these were big toys. The point is, if you Google them, and you will see that they've been multiple, like people have tried to revive this franchise multiple times, including right now in the year 2025. I've seen these in a store. Like, they're nothing like the toys when I was a kid, but the same characters basically. So that's why they're fresh in my mind. But I was just going to say that, like, if you Google these and look at some of the older ones from the 80s, you might think it was like, I could see how Sammy Callahan could be a Madball. Like, he's getting to that. He's getting to that shape. But anyway, he's here to attack Mance Warner, who's trying to do a promo with Steph DeLander, and Sammy attacks him and screams, "I'll kill you," as they knock the cameraman down, I guess. I think the camera falls on the floor here.
Give me more Sammy, pal.
All right. Well, the catering budget just went up. So, Frankie Kazarian finds Leon Slater backstage, and he's willing to give Leon another chance to carry his trophy around. And then the System walks in, and then Moose makes an offer. He said, "You don't want to carry that ugly trophy around. You want to carry our bags instead, like that." And then Lish is like, "Yeah, maybe I could use a secretary." And then JDC is like, "Hey, kid, why don't you send us a tape of your best stuff?" And then the Hardys walk in, and the Hardys walk in. So they will stand with Leon gladly, I believe. That is how we end it. And then there's an awkward thing after the System leaves where Frankie's there, and then the Hardys and Leon are there, and it looks like, well, are you just gonna, because Moose insulted your trophy, are you now going to be on the babyface team? Like, if that's the question that we're left with as far as the booking goes. How big of a heel are you really, Kazarian? Will you stand up for the dignity and sanctity of your trophy, for the honor? You just gonna let Moose talk about your trophy that way?
That's my trophy. I don't know you.
Yeah. Yeah. Sammy and Mance are fighting through the crowd. Now, you might have blinked and missed it. And hopefully you would blink and not wake up until the show was over. But just in case you just blinked, you would have seen Sammy hit Mance with the deadly popcorn bucket. That's the first time I've ever seen food pass through Sammy Callahan's hands and end up all over the floor. Yeah. How much could that hurt? How much could it possibly hurt to get hit with a cardboard popcorn bucket?
Well, if the corner caught your eye, it might irritate you for a second or two.
Yeah, I don't think it did. I think his eyes were fine. It's a little hot butter, maybe. Somebody get me a light beer.
Or you reach into the popcorn bucket, grab it's supposed to be like a butt, you stuff it in the guy's eyes, like, ah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Well, so yeah, you got the deadly
the Lions, Tigers, Bears, and Head popcorn work.
That's right, popcorn work. That's a course offered at OVW, the only accredited wrestling school in the world. So we go from the deadly popcorn bucket to the actually deadly bat and chair combo, which we all know that Sammy Callahan is the most dangerous when he's got these two things within close proximity of one another. and another human being. But thankfully, Steph DeLander finally comes out to stop it. And then Mance finally gets back over, gets the belt shot on Sammy. And then, of course, even more deadly than a 10-pound gold-plated hunk of, whatever, he pulls the pad down off his knee. And he hits Sammy with that knee, and it's all kneecap and denim, baby. Way stronger than a belt. Maybe not as strong as the popcorn. I'm not sure. I don't know, man. That just.
I mean, you got these guys who are like known for extremely brutal violence, and it's like that's what you end it with, a bare knee to the head.
Denim covered knee.
Denim covered knee.
Yeah, he was wearing jeans. Don't sell it short. Oh my god. I would love to see to be a fly on the wall. Like if like a clip of this show and like us talking about this segment here, and then these guys have to listen to it. Like I want to hear what would be their rebuttal of like what are you going to excuse yourself by saying? Like what are you going to, how are you going to defend the popcorn bucket shot? Like how, what are you just going to, like what would the comeback be if these guys had to listen to what we were saying? Like what would they try to say? I would love to know that. I would love to hear that. I'd love to see that. What would you say? He's like, man, fuck these guys. Like that's all you can really say. You can't even.
Pretty much. Oh, there's haters. They don't get it.
Yeah, we don't.
They ain't at our level.
That's right. Yeah, he's right. I've never hit anybody with a bucket of popcorn, so I'm one to talk. Speaking of fuck these guys, Bert is still doubting Eric. And one thing he's not going to do is stick around to find out how this goes. He's already got his rolling case, and he's headed out.
Which I liked. They put that little detail in there to explain why he didn't show up later.
That's right. Never mind that this is a taping and he couldn't go anywhere. We're not supposed to know that. Also, never mind that you would just show up for work and then go home. That doesn't, I'm not booked, so I'm going home. That's what he should have said. Instead of saying, I'm not going to stick around and see how this turns out. It'd just be like, well, I wasn't booked, so I'm out of here. I'm going to try to catch an early flight.
Which is really any wrestler really wants to do. Like, yeah, I'm done. Peace out later.
Yeah, you want to blur the lines, guys? Let's get real with it. Let's get actually real. Laredo Kid versus Mustafa Ali is next. Would you like to offer any commentary or insight on this particular contest?
I don't remember catching much of that. I think I was interacting with the chat a little bit more during this one.
Bless you, sir.
I'm
bless you. Okay. Well, I will say this. There was a spot where there was a dive. Did you happen to catch the dive by any chance?
I might have. I don't remember. Please recap.
Okay.
That might jog something.
Okay. So they go into this spot where it's like one of those Laredo Kid is standing next to Ali, who's Ali is standing on his feet, selling with his head down like they like to do, while the other guy stands right next to him, looking away from them and raising their fist because they're about to go hit the ropes, right? We all know this great, lovely spot. It's just a wonderful addition to the pro wrestling repertoires of, modern day, and we just love how everybody faces away from their opponent for several seconds in the hopes of hitting the ropes. So he goes to hit the ropes. Laredo Kid goes to hit the ropes. Ali stops selling and runs behind him. Okay, so we do that spot where as Laredo Kid is coming back off the ropes, he doesn't see Ali on the blind side bouncing off the ropes behind him. He goes to turn around, and then Ali does Laredo Kid throws I want to say this was very confusing because the psychology of all this was very poor. But eventually it turns into a thing where, Ali goes for something, Laredo Kid hits the ropes, Ali goes to hit the other ropes on the far side. And for no reason other than this is the spot, Ali does the thing where he dives feet first, through the ropes. So even though he would be, I don't know if he'd be on the defense or the offensive, but instead of just hitting the ropes and bouncing off, he grabs the top rope and puts his feet through it, slides, it goes out to the floor. The way you would do one of those hanging drop kicks when you kick somebody out, but you end up going outside the ring. Then, as Laredo Kid is bouncing off the other ropes, he dives on Ali right as Ali hits the floor. So Ali has time, hit the floor, turn around, bam, Laredo Kid hits him. Then because Ali does not have a chance to set his feet, because this was the nature of the spot that they designed. The whole idea of it was him to get blindsided by Laredo Kid's dive, which is definitely, it's better than just standing there waiting for him to dive on you like most people do. But the side effect of this is you don't get to plant your feet. So Ali did not set his feet. Laredo Kid flew into him with his entire body weight, and they hit the barricade, and the barricade folded in toward the fans. And I visibly saw people get hit by the barricade in this spot. I saw somebody's drink fall on the ground, I'm pretty sure. Maybe a popcorn bucket. I don't know if anybody was actually hurt.
Damn, I just got this refilled.
Yes. I don't know if anybody's actually hurt, but they definitely could have been. It was dangerous and stupid what they did. And TNA can't afford to get sued by people, even if WWE is helping them out.
We are going to sue you. We are going to sue the promoter. We are going to sue the building owner. We are going to sue the state. And we are going to sue the wrestler. Oh, that's a Beavis and Butthead deep cut right there.
This is I just hope that no fans suffered a deep cut when the barricade folded in and hit them. Is my point.
Yeah, I remember that now. That was nasty. That was
and everybody and besides the fact that you guys are just dumbasses, even if they didn't hit the barricade, I could have said all the stuff I just said and just said you could blow your knee out doing something like that. You could, snap your ankle, tear your Achilles, you could hit your head on the concrete. Any number of things could go wrong by doing what you did. Never mind the fact that it made no logical sense. I was trying to explain it from memory, and I got lost trying to remember exactly what they did. So right off the bat, you should know that it was convoluted and didn't need to happen. But despite the fact that it made no psychological sense, despite the fact that it was unsafe for the wrestlers, you hit the barricade and you hit the fans. And the only reason that you hit the fans is because Ali was not set to catch the dive, which is exactly how he wanted it, which is why these guys are dumbasses. So, also, this is a random TNA Impact. No one will ever remember this. You will be lucky if anybody even watched your match. You're lucky I watched your match and I have to review this show. So doing something like this for no reason rather than just being good, shame on everyone is basically what I have to say. But anyway, 450 splash from Ali because it's Laredo Kid, so he ain't winning.
Hey, now that's a former digital media champion.
No one remembers that either, including me. But when we come back from break, we have Ali giving a victory speech of sorts, I guess. I don't know what else you'd call it. He's backstage talking with his security detail. And Santana walks in and he wants to throw hands. And Ali's like, well, sir, I just competed. Much as I love a spirited competition, but I know somebody who will be willing to accommodate you. And he is always ready, so to speak. So,
Yeah, kind of a bit of a, we know who that is.
And we know
Unless they go for the swerve. Unless they go for the swerve.
Unless they go for the swerve. Swerve Strickland. Oh my God. AEW also has a deal in place with TNA. No? Okay. But if we don't, I mean, this match doesn't happen tonight. So if we have to wait a week anyway, then why does Ali need to find a suitable replacement? Shouldn't he be ready next week?
I mean, that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? That makes way more sense.
I'm starting to think that nobody knows anything at all. Nothing at all. Nothing at all.
Stupid, sexy Flanders.
Yeah, all right. Now let's talk about some guys that wish they were as jacked as Ned Flanders. The Northern Armory comes out. And I'm just, dude, these guys just walk to the ring. Like, I'm just watching them on their entrance, and I'm looking at them. And I wrote down on my phone, like I literally wrote on my phone. I can do a quick, I'll do this so you can see I'm not lying. You hear that? You hear that little the camera sound? I just screenshotted my own phone and I can send this to you to prove that I wrote down on my notes, are you serious? Like I'm looking at the Northern Armory and I wrote down, are you serious? Are you serious? Are you serious? These guys looking like this, acting like this.
These guys.
Yeah. So it's the Northern Armory versus Eric Young, who I don't know if this was supposed to be a tip-off, but he's not wearing the Dr. Doom mask. He's back to wearing the Casey Jones mask.
I didn't catch that.
Casey Jones. New game, Roundhead. Cricket. Yeah, so it's Eric and Josh, and Josh tried to quit, but Eric pulled him into a tag team match. And so I guess he's got one more booking. And I'm watching the match. And the whole match is these guys beating up Josh Alexander, right? Getting the heat on him and double teaming him and all this stuff. And I just, again, my notes, you can see it. I'm going to send it to you in a second here. It just like I just wrote F these guys. Like, seriously. Are you serious? And F these guys. That's my review of Northern Armory. I cannot impress upon you with my own words. As much of a, as eloquent and verbose as I can be at times, I don't have the words to explain to you how rotten these fucking guys are and how much they should not be on television. But finally, Josh makes it to the corner for the hot tag. And Eric gets in. He's hyped up. And then he turns around and punches Josh. To everyone's surprise. And they all beat the shit out of him. And then they give him a pile driver. And we all know Josh Alexander has a bad neck. So that move that everybody just, unless it's on WWE, that move that everybody just kicks out of, this could be the end for Josh. They could send him to NXT on a stretcher.
How funny would that be? He does a stretcher job here, and then he shows up at NXT on a stretcher.
They just load him in, set him down in the locker room on the bench, like just set the stretcher down on the bench. Yeah, dude.
Those are the kind of things, like if I was in like a creative meeting, I'd throw those out as jokes to pop everybody in the thing to like, okay, we're not actually going to seriously put this on the TV.
Yeah, and they're like, everybody good with exactly what he said?
No, I was joking. No, oh please, God, oh God.
Yeah. So, you know,
that's why you couldn't pitch stuff like that to like jokes to Vince McMahon, because you didn't know if you'd take it seriously or not.
Exactly. So, you know, just that's kind of where we're at with that. It's like, okay, you turned, but this guy already quit, and so what? Is he going to stay around to get vengeance, and then what? And then leave? And then do you think that anybody thinks he's going to get over if he's already said that he quit? Or in real life, if we know that he's not sticking around with TNA, his wife's already gone. You know,
Well, I got to think, well, now we're going to have like we're looking at the heel and babyface sides in this. We have 3 on one side, Eric Young and Northern Armory. We have on babyfaces, we have 2, Macklin and Alexander. What would be the easy way to transition Josh Alexander over to NXT? Third man's Ethan Page.
Yep.
Granted, it would take some work to make that make sense, but
are they willing to do that work?
that's the question. I'm holding out hope for a Nick Nemeth and Karate Man tag team match against Dolph Ziggler and Ethan Page of the Hardy Compound.
I will quit this show. Yeah, we don't want Alexander on NXT. Well, you're gonna get it because he's got nowhere else to go.
Pretty much. Oh, he might go to Maple Leaf.
Yeah, that'd be nice. In that sense, I don't care if they send him on a stretcher to Maple Leaf. Because then you don't have a working agreement with them.
Sorry, I was reading your notes.
Oh, yes, well, there you go. A little insight into what I told you I was going to do it. Wes Lee versus Ace Austin. Liz says, hell, he could go to hell. Okay, so here's another match where you had constant interference that was just getting easily handled. Like Ace Austin is kicking the shit out of In the Mud individually trying to cheat. Like these 2 giant men are trying to grab Ace Austin and beat him up, and Ace Austin's kicking their ass. Just the same way that uh
Same way he handled the system on during Genesis.
yep, or the same way the system got handled by Leon Slater.
Yep.
Yeah. So everybody's ineffective until they're not. And then I mean, he handled them to the point. This is how strong Ace Austin handled these guys. He handled them so strongly that when he did a dive, like outside the ring, like when he jumped over the top rope at these men, and the force of the wind when he splatted on the concrete, the shockwave actually knocked them all down. It was crazy how strong Ace Austin was. You don't even need to hit a guy to knock him down. Just the reverberations of your hip smacking onto the padded concrete is enough to take down this 500 pounds of humanity.
It's all in the hips. It's all in the hips.
Get off of me. So yeah. So he knocks everybody down with the force of the wind, and then he gets when he goes to get back in the ring, one of them is just barely conscious enough to grab his leg, and he's like, well, he basically says what Happy Gilmore says to Chubbs, get off of me. And as he turns around from that, the guy's just like, just easing the tension, baby. Just easing the tension. And then Ace is like, yeah, well, go ease it on somebody else. And then he turns around and Wesley hits him with the literal flip. That's his move. The literal flip to knock him out and get the win. And then that tag team in the mud, Tyreek and Tyson, they're really strong then. And then they get in the ring and they all beat the shit out of Ace Austin until the Rascals come in to make the save with music. They hit the ring and run everybody off. So, because I know if I look like Tyrese and Tyson and these two meth addicts outside the Quick Stop ran into fighting me, I would be scared too. Actually, I would be scared. They might have a hypo or something.
Yeah, but the crowd can't see. It's more of a visual business.
Yeah. So what they saw in the visual business was the Giant Men running away from the Rascals. But that's fine. We saw that the Giant Men couldn't fight worth a fuck because Ace Austin beat him up by himself. It was only when they tried to ease the tension that he got distracted, So.
Like, yeah, why can't the Rascal be coming out with chairs?
There probably weren't enough chairs.
Yeah, full house. They're all seats filled.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no extra chairs. And we're not in is it the Las Vegas? Is it like the Sam's? Is it the Sam's Town venue where they like do promos by like the stacks of chairs in the back? Is that venue or is that a different one? But like they weren't there, so that's why.
I think they were in San Antonio.
Yeah, they were in San Antonio on this one. Everybody knows that in San Antonio they don't stack chairs. They just don't do it. And there's no basement in the Alamo. Can you say Adobe? All right. Next week, Joe Hendry's going to be in concert. He's going to sing about how he got to touch Roman Reigns.
I'll see how that goes, pal.
Yeah, and finally, the main event that we were promised at the start. It's Coach versus Ziggler's. It's a match. Whatever. 'Cause, Dolph gets blind tagged by Nick, and he hits the danger zone, and Nick swoops in and gets the pin on KC.
You called them Dolph and Nick.
You're right. It's Ryan. Ryan steals the pin. All right, let me rephrase that. Dolph and Nick hit the danger zone on KC Navarro, and then Ryan blind tags himself in and steals the pin.
Like that period when Kenny and Cartman were inhabiting the same body.
Yeah, it's just like that, except totally different. So
way different.
Yeah. So yeah.
Nick
so
drunk Dolph's ashes.
Oh, they drank something. Okay. So yeah, after the DZ, KC loses for a 1-2-3, and then AJ, as the Ziggler brothers awkwardly celebrate, all three of them, they're in the ring celebrating, and AJ has KC, and he's Prince carrying him up the ramp, and he like looks back at Ryan and Dolph and Nick, and he's just like, "You son of a bitch. You killed my princess." That's it. So last week we had a live show. This week we had a tape show. In the end, do you feel like this is just a continuation? Is TNA on a new track?
I think they are. Ever since this partnership was announced, ever since, Genesis, it's been a bit of a different feel.
Yes. I mean, as I pointed out multiple times, everything still sucks, but it feels different, which is the important thing.
Like I noticed, like the structure is a little bit more WWE-ish.
Yes,
or it's a better version of it, I should say, as far as like shows, like a structure and format.
One thing I don't like that NXT does a lot is they'll like, and WWE was doing this for a while too. Like, regardless, all of their programs were doing this, but it's mostly NXT, where like a wrestler will make an entrance and then they go to break. Then they come back and then they run like a vignette or two or a backstage thing or whatever.
Right.
And then the second wrestler makes the entrance and then they start the match.
Right. And
which is just so bizarre.
Yeah, it's dumb. The entire time that the first wrestler's sitting there with like, all right, I'm going to stand here for 5 minutes. Okay, cool.
Right. And yeah, if the shows are live, then that's exactly what they're doing. And they're showing they have to show those things to the people in the building on the screen so that they're seeing the same show that the people at home are seeing. So that means that all the people, when the lights go down and they watch the monitor, the big screen or whatever, when they play the vignette or when they show the backstage thing, but in the room, in the darkened room, you still see the wrestler just standing there with his thumb up his ass in the ring waiting. So regardless of how the TV viewers see this, the people in the house, you should never make it look stupid to the people in the house. I don't think. There's no excuse for it. There's no reason to do it. It's not going to make one bit of difference how you format the entrances. Like, do you think your ratings are going to go up because people are like, oh, someone's making their way to the ring. I wonder what's going to happen. I'll just sit through the commercial break and watch all the commercials so I don't miss anything. Nobody's thinking like that in 2025. And they already tell you who the person's going to fight because they put it up on the screen like, this coming up next. And they show you the little match in the corner. So you don't even get the idea that it's a mystery who this person's going to be facing when you come back from a commercial. There's no reason to do it whatsoever. Anyway, TNA doesn't really do that. But if they start doing it, then you'll know that there's influences that are causing them to change it. But that's just one example.
And don't forget too, it's I believe it is Endeavor who hosts the TNA Plus website.
I did not forget it. I wonder what their level of minutia involvement is. But anyway, I think we've gotten into the minutia a little bit here. We've gone on some tangents. We talked about some stuff.
Here's a theory I've been thinking. What if Endeavor wants to buy Anthem?
Can they?
They might. Possible.
Well, who owns Endeavor?
Ari Emanuel.
No, he doesn't personally own it. What's the holdings group? It's like Silver Lake or some shit like that.
Oh, yeah. Paper trail.
Yeah, we got to play the shell game to find out who owns what. How high can we go? And then we have to find out if Anthem has a parent. And who's got more money?
All right, Silver Lake. Founded in 1999. Headquarters, Menlo Park, California. Multiple offices in 4 countries. Key people, Ken Howe, chairman. Mike Bingle, vice chairman. Egon Durbin, co-CEO. Greg Amandre, co-CEO. Joe Osnos, managing partner. Let's do Control F, Endeavor.
Egon.
Endeavor. On May 2nd, 2012, Silver Lake acquired a minority stake in William Morris Endeavor in December 2013. WME and Silver Lake announced they would acquire IMG. In July 2016, Silver Lake helped back WME, IMG's acquisition of UFC. In October 2017, WME IMG announced the formation of a new holding company, Endeavor, which took on the full portfolio of owned and operated brands formerly under the WME IMG banner. Endeavor went public in 2021, trading under the ticker symbol EDR on the New York Stock Exchange. In April 2024, Silver Lake acquired the remaining shares of the company to take it private in a deal that valued Endeavor at $13 billion.
What does it say that Silver Lake's holdings are?
Oh boy. Let me pull it back up. Oh wow. Oyster, Odiseva, Diamond Baseball Holdings, Metropolis Technologies, Software AG, Integrity, A-League, Group 42, Klarna, Geo, Expedia Group, Airbnb. They made an investment on Twitter back in 2020. Waymo, First Advantage. I'm not sure what their standings are today. These are just one that they have invested in or tried to invest in. First Advantage, Waymo, Verily, ServiceMax, AMC, GoodRx, Ant Group, Credit Karma, Blackhawk Network, WP Engine, Cornerstone On Demand, Unity Technology, SoFi, Ancestry, Symantec, SolarWinds, EMC, Motorola Solutions, Dell, Global Blue, Alibaba, GoDaddy, Skype, Avaya, Sabre, NXP Semiconductors, SunGuard, and Broadcom.
It's a lot of stuff. Liz says that Anthem is majority controlled by Asper via Cygnus Corporation. Well, let's cut to the chase, Liz. Who got more money? Because it's big bank take little bank. And also, why would you need to acquire Anthem Entertainment? Why wouldn't you just buy TNA out from Anthem?
I think she might have nailed it right. Or actually not really Anthem. I would say, yeah, if they wanted to buy Cygnus, maybe that would be the benefit right there. But that'd be even tougher sell than Anthem.
I don't know why you need it anyway. Like if you care about TNA, just buy it. You don't need the whole thing. Silver Lake has more money, so they could do it. But they don't need to. Well, regardless, we'll see if anything comes of that. But I think there are no objections. I think we can take it home. We've acquired an hour and 45 minutes of your time, and we appreciate it.
Yes.
Thank you for hanging out.
Yes, boy. Thank you guys so much for stopping in and hanging out. Want to apologize. It's been a very extremely rough and busy week. I just did not have the time or energy to get up punching up out this week. I apologize. Hopefully I can have another one. I have it back this for next week.
All right. Well, in the meantime, you can tell the people where they can find you to support everything that we're doing here.
So you can always catch me on Twitter, or as the kids call it these days, the X at Twitch. I'm sorry. At LG Brandon Whoop. I am also on Twitch, where you can catch me every Wednesday, sometimes maybe a couple other times during the week, but it's twitch.tv/LG Brandon Whoop Whoop. And our schedule for this week, what we got tomorrow. Not sure what we're doing tomorrow. Might do an NXT replay watch along. Might do HMG After Dark. Not 100% sure. Wednesday, Dynamite watch along. Thursday, that's kind of up in the air. Might do TNA. Might do HMG After Dark. Not 100% sure. And then Friday, of course, SmackDown. And if I'm not 100% sure, is the Grand Slam this weekend, this Saturday for Collision?
This one, I don't think so. Maybe next weekend. Unless it is, and I just don't know.
Yes, Saturday we'll get something figured out, and then I'm probably do Sunday HMG After Dark then. So yeah, that's what I got going on. How about you, pal?
Me, I'm at Opinion Haver everywhere. You can catch me on HMG shows such as the Next Level Wrestling Review every Wednesday, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern with Big Ray Hernandez. We talk about NXT, so we'll cover the other half of this partnership. You could catch me every Sunday at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern for The Wreckage with Jimmy T. Talk about all of AEW. If you want to check out some other shows, you could check out Wrestling with Rip Rogers every Friday at their concrete time of whenever that is, except for this week, I believe it's something like Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern. Concrete. They're going to have Dylan Bostic on. I assume he'll talk about getting into a fight with Joey Janela. So we hear all about that on Wrestling with Rip Rogers. Yeah, so they're normally on Fridays, but this week I guess they're on Wednesdays. So check that out. Once again, I believe I saw that it was on 6. But it doesn't really matter what time they're on, because if you go to that page, click that notification bell after you subscribed, of course, you will be notified whenever they go live. So you can always just drop what you're doing and ask Rip Rogers questions. And also on Friday, Stevie Richards show every Friday, no matter whether he's in the hospital for back problems or anything else. Stevie is giving you that fresh content, and and that's kind of what he was detailing this week, talking about his spine infection, everything that went into that from the moment it happened all the way through his treatments to his recovery and everything. So if you wanted to hear the in-depth detailed version of what happened to Stevie before and how it ties into everything that's happening now, How is it different? How is it the same? Check out the Stevie Richards Show. And that's just about it. So, once again, thanks everybody for making the adjustments and joining us here. And we'll see you very soon. For Brandon, I'm the vet, and I don't have a sign-off line.
And one correction I want to make. I know I had said earlier we're going to do a continuation of the Raw watch along tonight. I'm going to go ahead and kind of call that. I'm burnt. I'm really burnt tonight, guys. I apologize.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I still don't have a sign-off line.